Hello there. What's going on, everyone? We've got some leaks to talk about today. Air support is coming for Star Wars Legion, and we're getting the police gunship, otherwise known as the patrol transport or the Laat LE patrol gunship, however you want to refer to this lovely type of helicopter type craft. This is coming to Star Wars Legion, and we've got some leaks from Lion Rampant Games to talk about, so very, very exciting. It was kind of on my short list, I'm not going to lie. If you guys are new here, there's a new round of the giveaway going on right now still for a $25 Amazon gift card. You just have to be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that. So, the Laat LE gunship was, or patrol transport rather, Laat LE patrol transport leaked on Lion Rampant, and I'm going to put a link in the description, unless, of course, it gets taken down by the time this video goes up, but it was definitely there, and this kind of completes that next Imperial wave, or that Imperial Rebel wave that was coming, that started with Lando and Callus, and then is now also the AA5 speeder truck and the Laat LE transport. So the Laat LE, you may have seen this in the Clone Wars. It first showed up, I think, on Coruscant when Ahsoka was on the run in Season 5. It was part of the ships that had the spotlights that were chasing her down. And, of course, this also showed up in greater detail in Star Wars Rebels, very much around Lothal. They were all over Lothal. And they kind of serve a helicopter kind of pick up and deliver type of functionality. I think a helicopter is great for a game like Star Wars Legion. I think it gives you a really high hover air keyword potential type of vehicle that could be maybe hover air 2 or even maybe a hover air 3. I don't know if they're going to really go as tall as height 3 stuff, but I think it should have height 3. I think it definitely should. I'd like to see hover air 3 for something that can really go above and beyond, or at least some capability. Like maybe it's hover air 2 and it can gain an extra hover air number if it wants to reduce its movement or something like that. So like it's got to go slower to go up over like a really tall building. I like the idea of using potentially really, really tall stuff, but I know that's kind of few and far between. So it might be like, look, how many people are really going to use height 3 or bigger terrain? Some people will, but the cost benefit right there is like, well, then we have to make it cost more because it's got the additional capability. I don't know what goes into it, but I think hover air 2 is probably fine for something like this. I also expect this to be a transport because, hey, it drops off troops. It's got a pilot in there, and it's got the whole cargo container that's going to be dropping off troops and is going to line them up on the ground, presumably. If they're calling it a transport, right, as opposed to a gunship. Now, it should have the capability to be running as a gunship. I would imagine this to have some hard points, and you can put some missile salvos, some rocket pods, and things like that on a transport like this. I think that'd be really fun. Kind of like if we go back to that first graphic, right? Like they can definitely launch some. Like they blew up those giant fuel containers in Star Wars Rebels. They have an armament to them. And so, like, I'm just excited for this one. This was definitely on the list of things that I thought was potentially coming. And I'm kind of glad they didn't go with something that was like more of a direct match for the AA5 speeder tank. I do expect this one to have some things in common with it, though. So, like, what do we expect it'll have? Well, I think it's going to definitely have closed transport. I think these are going to be our closed transport vehicles. We're going to get those. I think that's a sure thing. What else are we going to get? I think this is going to be hover ground, whereas this one will be hover air. But I think we're also kind of laying the groundwork for some other cool things that we can expect to see. Maybe a little bit better of a ship that can be like outfitted with more than just pilots. Maybe some more crew, kind of like how the Rebel land speeder had like all those crew options. Maybe we'll see stuff like that. That could be a thing, but I think that also it paves the way for additional helicopter or hover type vehicles for the other factions. Plus, look, the Separatists and the clones don't have any other heavies right now, so I think this is all but confirmation that we're going to be getting the Laat for the clones. It's just, no, I get it would be big. They've wanted to do bigger stuff going almost a whole year ago. Maybe it was more than a year ago, when Navarro did the Ask Me Anything, and it was like, he said, hey, look, there's some things we want to do that feel like they'd be a little too big for Legion, but maybe we'll do a scale And I think that works out perfectly. You know, if it's in the air, it doesn't have to be just as big as if it would be if it was on the ground. I wonder how high up they're really going to do it, though. And that's a really interesting question. But hey, look, if the clones are going to get something like this, and I realize this is a little bit speculation, but I think this is a very reasonable speculation. If they're already doing a helicopter here, and Lion Rampant is owned by Asmodee, so look, they haven't been wrong yet. Some of the dates have been off a little bit. By the way, 23 April, we're getting 23 April as our day for something like this, which is, my dog is barking because she's excited about 23 April. But no, 23 April is not that far out. You know, and we're getting Lando and Callus, I think, in March. So it's going to be a good spring for Legion, which is very exciting. But what's coming after that, right? Well, we're probably getting the Laat. I also think, well, what about other factions, right? What are droids going to get? I think the obvious answer here is you got to look to X-Wing. HMP gunship. It seems like it's just the most obvious thing. And this would obviously be asymmetrical in a way. It's not going to be transporting as many troops, but then again, there's also those rocket droids that that kind of fly, those jetpack droid things that we're flying with these guys. So I think they can do those guys with this. I think by this point you have just about everything, but you probably have to ask the question: well, what's going to come for the rebels? Right? What's gonna be there for the rebels? And the big part of me is like thinking about the Laat and thinking about like some other ship designs. I'm like, well, maybe the Wookiee gunship, because we had that keyword for Wookiees dropped. Maybe the Ozatuk. It's that Wookiee gunship. It could be a thing, but I think it's a little bit more of a spacecraft than a helicopter. And then of course thinking about it, I'm like, well, of course it hits me. The U-Wing, right? You got to do the U-Wing. I think so. I just think the U-Wing is the obvious answer, but maybe it's a little too big, so maybe the rebels just won't get it. Maybe we're just going to have the rebels content with their speeder truck. And maybe that's as far as it'll go. Or maybe the rebels will get Ewoks flying on their gliders at some point. I don't know. I want to hear what you guys think, though. What do you guys think about this news from Lion Rampant, constantly leaking stuff all the time? I feel like since FFG is like shutting down their forums and kind of passing the torch to Atomic Mass Games, they're not announcing things anymore. So instead, they're just leaking it all on Lion Rampant, saying, you know what, Crab, you can maybe this is FFG's way of saying, here, Crab, you know, here. You can have this. You can break the news to everybody in the least professional way possible, right? That sounds like me. But no, I think this is exciting. I'm really curious how the sculpt is going to work. How high off the ground are they going to do something? Because I imagine it would have to be a fairly large model, and I imagine it would probably be built with multiple options, like maybe a door open and then door closed. Like if you want to actually put dudes in there, you can actually put dudes in there. Because it's not a super small thing. I mean, it's not as big as like the Millennium Falcon or anything like that. But these are big. And you know, to have something big, you know, if you're going much higher than the Snowspeeder, I think you're gonna have balance issues. So I'm curious how much higher. I think they'll probably go about Snowspeeder height. I don't think they'll really want to go any taller than that. But I think it would be really cool if they did. And if they did, they'd have to think about getting a different type of base. Maybe something a little bit sturdier with multiple kind of veins going up to give it extra support. Kind of like how they had to re-engineer in Star Wars X-Wing. The Ghost had a kind of a re-engineered base. I'm really curious how they're going to do it. I can't wait to see the article. I mean, if it's coming out in April, we'll probably have to get a preview article by February, maybe? That's kind of when I'd guess, but then again, they've been pushing things closer and closer to release. And also, what do you think about them kind of waiting until something is almost about ready to come out before they actually do the announcement articles on it? Are you for or against that? You know, it does kind of give you less time in between, less time to be kind of hopeful, but then at the same time, it defeats the purpose if they're going to leak everything to their distributor site early. So I don't know, but I'll check the links in the description below, guys. If you want to check out some shirts, masks, and other cool merch to help support the store, there's links for that. Also, hop in my Discord, share your thoughts, let me know what you think as well. I've got links to all of that stuff down in the video description, so be sure to check that out. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Big thanks to my patrons as well. You guys are absolutely amazing. Could not do this without you, so thank you for your continued support. I will talk to you guys later. Thank you so much, and as always, have a great day.